just one last question, which is really more around the fact that in a COVID environment, we've seen a lot of money in some ways get a little bit more channelized into COVID rather than core issues, which a lot of the NGOs have normally tried to stick to. Do you think that this is detrimental in some ways to NGOs that are not always COVID impacted? Or do you feel that at this point in time, it's more important for us to have a tactical response to COVID? I mean, I'd love to just get your thinking on that, because I know the dilemmas are there, because you may like to support arts and culture, but the question is, are you supporting arts and culture through the COVID pandemic lens, or do you do it for other reasons? I think everything seems to have got kind of tainted in some ways with a COVID lens. So how should one look at it for the longer term, short term and longer term?
Riah, you want to go first, and then I will respond.
Sure. So I suppose my quick response to that is, I think we do have to acknowledge that we're living in a pandemic, and there's an urgency and there's a crisis around that. And if we don't address the COVID problem, that in itself is not, we're going to have problems that spill much beyond that. So public health feels like the need of the hour, absolutely. But at the same time, I worry that when we just focus on urgent COVID responses, we're forgetting about the ripple effects that are happening from COVID. So we know that inequities in education are worsening due to COVID, because children who are in lower income households don't have access to the same technology and resources as children in higher income households, for instance. So giving to education is not at odds with giving as a COVID response, because education is very significantly hit, as is health, as is empowerment of women. So there are a number of sort of broader systemic, arts and culture, I think, is a great example of that as well. So I think so many broader systemic issues that one could give to today that I don't think at odds with a COVID response, because COVID has touched so much of this, and organizations across the board are in need of support to think about how to navigate this time. So my instinct is to give widely and give well across sort of long-term outcomes, but Mom, you should say.
Yeah. I would just, I think Riah put it very well. In fact, I think there's not a sector that one knows that has not been hit by COVID, apart from Amazon and those kind of organizations. And I think whatever you can give in terms of, even in education, actually thoughtfully looking at how can this year's response to even education or health be more COVID focused. So in many of the organizations that we work with, we have actually allocated or reallocated our money to devices, as Riah said, because that is the imperative, or into how can we have programs where children, when they come back to school, there's not a huge loss of learning. So these are examples where we have also reallocated our funds, but it's only possible, hopefully, for this next 12 or 18 months. But the theme of the sector remains the same, that we are continuing to support.